Hello YouTube, this is ChardarYuGiOh here with a 6 Samurai deck profile that I was testing at locals and with some friends yesterday. And this deck so far has been testing in just amazingly. I have completely overpowered. I won almost every game I played with this deck yesterday. I still have very little experience playing with 6 Samurai, so I believe I was misplaying a lot. But I still think that the deck is very decent, and as I said, I have very little experience with the deck, so I'll take any comments or suggestions down below. Anyway, I run 3 of the tuners just because Kagemusha the 6 Samurai, just because I think it's very important that if we get to this, I get to this quickly. And it's not even a bad top deck. 1800 defense is reasonably respectable. It's not going to win any games, but it's probably the best top deck that 6 Samurai can do. 2 Kaigeki. I was pretty happy with 2. I've seen a lot of people running just 1, and that seems like a small amount to me, but I was pretty happy with 2. 3 Kazan, rather obviously. 2 Elder. I like the 2 Elder because this is one of the major asceticism cards, and it pretty much makes an instant Shen and has the Cyber Dragon effect, and it's a good swarm card. I really like 2. I think 1 would be too few. 1 Inishi, I was very skeptical about playing this card at all, and then I was using this, and this thing is just incredible against dead mains and every Xyz that was dropped against me, so I'm very glad I decided to keep that. Zanji's effect, I used it very rarely. It was pretty useful, but like I said, I used it pretty rarely. I mainly used it for asceticism plays with Kazan to make an instant rank 4, which isn't a bad play at all. And 1 final Grandmaster. I'm very skeptical about this card, and I still am. But I'll talk about that because it gives me an option for an Xyz that I decided to test at the suggestion of one of my friends yesterday. And it's a pretty good swarm card and just helps me get stuff on the field, and it lets me go into Black Rose. Triple Smoke Signal, obviously Rhoda. Triple United, Gateway, Triple Asceticism. Those are all really obvious. And then Triple D Fissure. Now this is my anti-meta choice because this thing is incredible against most of the meta decks this format, and especially Mermails. This thing kills Mermails, which otherwise would be a very rough matchup for me. And I can side out of these if I want to. I was not able to test the side deck at all yesterday, and we'll get into that later. But I was very, very happy with D Fissure in the deck, and I think that gives my deck a great deal of strength. Mind Crush, only 1 MST. I can negate spells and traps fairly well with Shien or Shockmaster, and Back Row just didn't seem to affect me that much. I side the other 2, but I'm only running 1 right now. Heavy Storm and Dark Hole. I'm skeptical on Dark Hole. I used it, I think, once out of maybe 12 games yesterday, and generally it was just dead in hand because I already have a Shien or another Synchro, Beast, Spargian, some big monster on the field, and I don't want to blow up my field. So I'm thinking about cutting Dark Hole out of the deck, honestly. Monster Reborn. I ended up testing without Monster Reborn as well yesterday just because I use the D-Fissures, so the graves are empty quite often. And generally, this was just a win more card for me. Like, I'd already set up my field presence. I'd already set up myself to win. And if I had drawn Monster Reborn, either would not have helped me at that point, or if they recovered, I probably would have lost anyway. So Monster Reborn and Dark Hole, I'm not certain if I like these in this deck yet. So you can offer suggestions on that below. And Book of Moon. 2 Magatama. I was testing a 3rd Magatama over Monster Reborn yesterday, and this card is just incredibly busted. Maybe not busted, but it's really good, and it just helped me control the field and control what they were able to do and just protect my stuff, because I could just... anything they had to destroy my back row, destroy my monster, all my stuff was protected, which let me overextend something insane. And that's something I noticed with this deck, is it's a very different playstyle from what I'm used to with agents or scraps or heroes, in that you're actually kind of... I did a lot better at overextending. Like, I tried playing it really conservatively, and I just ended up getting beat over, so I'm still getting used to playing this deck. 2 Bottomless, 1 D-Fissure, 1 Warning, 1 Judgment. I was hoping for a heavier back row, but I kind of ran out of space with what I did, what I was doing, and D-Fissure and the Synchros offered me enough protection anyway. So I was pretty happy with the main deck. I'll still take any suggestions on there because I am very new to this deck. The extra deck, 1 Shien, 1 Catastor, Beast, Barkion, Iron Chain Dragon, I'm still a big proponent of Iron Chain Dragon over Gaianite. Just because Gaianite has no effect and is reasonably useless in the meta. And this thing, I like the milling because there are very few decks this format that seem to want their cards engraved. Especially with most decks running a low monster count. If you can mill off a key spell or a key trap, Iron Chain Dragon is going to be really good. And Black Rose, this is really only for mind control plays or for Grandmaster and Kagamusha, but having the option to rip up the field is pretty nice. I mean, that's kind of contradictory with what I said about not running Dark Hole, but this is slightly more situational, and it helps me with mind control and synchro plays. So I kind of like that. Chimera Tech, because I said Cyber Dragons. Then Utopia, Maestroke, Black Corn was a huge help in this deck. This deck has some issues dealing with stuff like Spirit Reapers or Marshmallows or Zen Mains, and this thing dealt with all of them just with ease. This card was amazing in this deck. Steelswarm Roach, I didn't get a chance to go into this, but this deck is supposed to be very weak to beaters, so I put in a Steelswarm Roach to help me out there. Shadow of the Six, just a 2500 beast deck. I never used the effect, and I'm considering dropping this. I realize it's good for gateway plays, but I really use this card. I didn't use it at all. Shockmaster, 1 Zen Mains for rank 3. And finally, number 61, Volcasaurus. Now, this was a suggestion that my own friend had because I ended up having a lot of situations where I had 2 level 5s, either a Beast, Barkion, Catastrophe, or Grandmaster, or Shien, on the field. And this card seemed to be, would have won me the game if I'd had it. I could exceed for this game too and blow up a Gorge or blow up a remaining monster. And this card is just stupidly powerful. I didn't get to test this. I put it in when I got home. But this is my tech choice for the extra deck right now. You can let me know what you think of that, if you think it's win more, if you think it's situational, and I'm sure it is situational. But I really want to test it, and I think it'll do pretty well. Now the side deck, the side deck is completely theoretical. I didn't side at all during my testing yesterday, but I'm running 2 Forbidden Lance, 3 Rivalry, 2 Soul Drain, 2 MST, 2 Max C, 2 Valor, and 2 Cyber Dragon. Now the theory I'm having here is I can just go back and forth between the Dimensional, Fissure, Anti-Meta type 6 Samurai, and just go back and do a more normal standard build based on what I'm playing against, like Maxi and Valors. I cannot run these and D-Fissure together, but if I side out the D-Fissure engine inside these that might help me out some against some other matchups. So overall, I was very, very pleased with how the deck tested, and I think I'm going to stick with it for a little while, but I'll still take any suggestions, and I'm going to keep testing on Dueling Network as well as in real life. So if anyone wants to play it, just let me know. If you like the deck, thumb it up. If you don't like it, thumb it down. Leave a comment below. Tell me what you think of it and why you don't like it, or why you like it. Anyway, I take any feedback on the deck, and peace out, YouTube.